Welcome to another episode of Reflections of a CEO, where I take you behind the scenes on what it's like to really run a business from the perspective of a CEO. So today, I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, and that is real estate. Yes, real estate. So little different than the normal episodes that we talk about, which is where I really go into depth on the business, my main business, Jakt, which is an agency, and now more recently opening up Popol Group, which is a holding company which owns various businesses like Jakt and Popol Finance and a couple other things. But it is all related because, right, in Popol Group, one of the things that I'm doing is not just spinning out new businesses, but also investing in other types of assets. And one of those being real estate. So real estate has been something that, just to take a step back for a second, real estate I've always been fascinated by since I was a little kid. So whenever we would drive around looking for new houses or whatever it is, I was always obsessed with the pricing in different areas and why something was listed at one price versus another, and what caused the value of one house to be more than another, etc. And then also growing up, my grandparents, when they moved from Italy to the US, they bought apartments. And so I saw that my entire life growing up, right? They would just get these rent checks in each month. And back then, the apartments were, the buildings were much less faster to pay off. And so they were able to, just for years, and my grandma still gets checks, right, every month. I think it's like $50K a year or something like that, 50 or 75K a year, whatever it is that she just gets each year, and she's been living like that for years and years. And so that was my next experience with real estate. I was like, wow, there's something pretty cool about this. They just keep getting these rent checks in, right? And so then if you sorry, my dog was barking. I had to shut the door. So then, if you fast forward to where we are today, I've still had that, obsession and interest with real estate. I mean, hell, I tell people, and this is true, it's the one thing that I almost went into besides growing Jakt and these businesses. It was the one thing that I was thinking about, either going to become a real estate broker or just get into real estate somehow, because I just loved real estate. And true story, a few years ago when I went through a hard time with Jakt, right, where and I won't put the whole story because I've already covered this other places, but where half the team left and I was thinking about what should I do with the business. I was actually debating. There was two things. I was either going to keep the business, which I obviously ended up doing, or shut it down and go into real estate. But that was actually, I was weighing those two options. Do I shut it down and go to real estate, or do I keep this business? So real estate just always been in my mind, and I thought at some point I'd do something, whether it was as a real estate broker or as an investor or as a house flipper or whatever it was, right? So anyways, fast forward to today, and now my take on it is that I'm really interested in it on the investment side. So going back to how my grandparents had those houses and spitting off cash, this really aligns a lot with how I think about business, and it's always been actually in my mind. I wanted my passive income to cover my living expenses, and my definition of passive income is this. It's that income that you're not working on, right? You're not active working on it, but it keeps coming in. But here's where the caveat is, right? A lot of people define passive income as like, oh, I set up this system and it's coming in. Yes, that's passive, but it can turn off in a year, right? If you're selling an ebook or I don't know, these online businesses, passive income, right? To me, that's not the passive income I'm looking for. I'm looking for long-term passive income. That's the important part, and that's why I like real estate, right? When you own apartments, I've seen it with my grandparents, right? 50 years, they get a check every single month, right? Without fail, right? That is what I'm talking about. That's the kind of passive income I'm after, right? Not this online, that you see on freaking YouTube. Hey, passive income, you'll sit around. Like that shit will end though in a year or two. So let's just be clear on that. When I'm talking about passive income, I'm talking about long-term passive income here, right? So real estate, that's why I like it. Specifically, and basically what I'm trying to do is have my living expenses covered by that income, so that then when I'm playing the game of business, it really is just a complete game, right? I view business as a game, I really do. However, if my business doesn't make money, I do not make money, right? That's how it works, right? Like these businesses are completely self-funded. All the money that Jakt uses, all the money that Popo uses, all the money that Popo Finance uses is my money, right? So if these businesses don't make money, I don't get paid. It's very simple, right? So that makes it so that, yes, these businesses for 7 years have been profitable, right? I've never had a year where there's not been a profit, yet there are ups and downs, right? And who knows, the businesses, and I don't think this is the case, by the way, but you don't know what's gonna happen in business, like, or if it doesn't make money in a month, which has happened before, right? I don't take out any money or whatever it is, right? I think these businesses will keep making money over time, right? But it's more risky, and with more risk, there's more variabilities in the returns. I want something now that will pay for my life, right? That is a bit more stable, like real estate. And then any money I throw in the business and all this is just like, hey, it's play money on top, right? Like true play money on top, right? So that's my first target, right? Is to build up those living expenses, or build up a real estate portfolio that pays for my living expenses, and then keeps going, right? I want to build it up to 2,000 a month, then 10,000, then 100, then and just keep it going like that. And where I'm personally looking is in multifamily apartment complexes, or buildings, or whatever you want to call them. That's what I know from my grandparents, right? Like it worked for them, and it makes a lot of sense, right? They have, I think it's 12 units in San Diego, right? And it just keeps paying them, right? Vacancy is very low. Someone moves out, someone moves in, right? I like apartments, especially now, and I give them credit for doing it years and years ago when home ownership was more common. Now home ownership is much less common, especially with millennials, right? Even myself, like I don't plan on ever owning a home, actually, unless I just decide to spend the money. First off, I just think owning a home is not smart, but that's a topic for another time. But a lot of millennials, I heard a stat yesterday that 30% of millennials own homes versus 70% of baby boomers. And sure, over time, maybe more millennials will own homes as they grow older, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near, that 70%. So what does that mean? It means a lot of people are renting apartments, right? And so with that, that's where I like my investment. And then I also want to not just own one home, because I've also, over time, I've met people, and when they own one home or a couple homes, right, something happens to the home, or you have a vacancy or whatever it is, and they get completely wiped out. I heard about this one guy, he had 10 homes, right? And one home got really messed up, and it wiped out all his profits from the other 10. So I really want to build up a really big portfolio, just to diversify. That said, my grandparents have, it's like 12 units, and they've been fine. So I'm still marinating on a lot of this stuff. I'm by no means an expert in this thing, so you're really getting my raw kind of thoughts, and I'm sure in a year I'll have an evolved kind of mindset on this as I get more educated. One thing I do know from business and being in business long enough is that I don't know what I don't know. And so, I'm just early on in this journey, so, there's a lot of things I just don't know. Or things that I'm going to say now that in a year I'm like, what are you talking about? But I'm more comfortable with that now, because I just know that's how it works. But it's good to get my thoughts out early, something I wish I would have done with Jakt when I was growing that. But here's my, my thoughts at the time. So, as of now, sorry, I need a little bit of water there. As of now, I'm looking at Class B apartment units, and Class B are ones that you can't see it here, but literally in front of me, and hell, this building I'm in right now, these are considered Class A buildings. And Class A buildings are these newer buildings, generally built in the last 15 years, higher end apartments, luxury buildings, charging a premium. Class B units are ones that are that were built before then, aren't as nice, right? Rents are lower, sometimes half the price of the Class A. And what I'm really interested in is buying those units and then improving them a little bit so that you can bump up the rents, but still be way below a building like this, right? I think, and I will say this is influenced by a lot of the research and things I've been doing lately, but I think and people think that because Class B units aren't being built, right? As people are moving into different cities like Miami, I was reading some reports yesterday that Miami, depending on which report you look at, one of the top 20 cities for population growth, so people are moving here. And yes, there's a ton of cranes in the air, right? A ton of Class A apartment buildings going up, but not any Class B being built. And so that's where I see the opportunity, is there's a limited supply on those. So if I can get in and buy some of those and then improve them and bump up rents, that'll work out really nicely for me. So I think. So that's one thing I'm looking at. The other thing I'm looking at is getting in, and this is only one that I'm looking at. I wasn't initially looking at it, but I met this one guy, and I'm actually talking to him on Wednesday, where he goes in, buys single family homes, converts them into like triplexes, right? They're zoned for multifamily, so he buys a single family, turns it into a triplex, and then does a bunch of those. So now this guy has like 30 of these things, and it's they cash flow really nicely for him. So so that's what I'm looking at in real estate. I've wanted to spend a lot of time in real estate, but I just haven't had the time, and I didn't think it made sense to stop focusing as heavily on Jakt over the years. Because the thing with real estate, at least the way I want to do it, I need a capital, right? You need money, right? If I want to go buy $1 million property, I need to put down 25-30%. So $250,000, $300,000. I need to be able to put that money down, or you have to raise it from other people. But the first deal or two, I think I want to just use my own money, prove myself, and then I can loop in my friends. I also want to loop in the employees from Jakt and any Popal Group companies. I want everyone to be benefiting from long-term wealth creation from this. I believe this is, and if you look at it, right, I've been talking to people and meeting people, and just look around, like the wealthy people in the world, like what do they all have in common? A lot of, at least in the US, a lot of them, real estate. Why? Because there's a lot of advantages to real estate. Not only are you getting that income coming each year, right? But there's a bunch of tax advantages, right? And I won't go through all of them right now, and I'm still learning about them, but man, there's like the way you can maneuver money, all legally, by the way. I can understand why people do it. And so I want to help other people do that over time as I do it. But it's to the point where you avoid a lot of taxes and save a lot of money, and anyways, that's probably a topic for another conversation. I'm also not a tax advisor, accountant, so go to your accountant for this kind of stuff. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. But anyways, yeah. So real estate, yes, you need a lot of capital, at least initially, right? Like it didn't make sense if I have $5,000 like to try and put it in something. Like I'm talking, I want to like really do something here, and to buy a home. Yes, you can buy one home for like 5% down or whatever it is, or some crazy stuff like that. But like that's not how I'm gonna play it. You need some capital, and I really needed Jakt to be in a place where it could run without me, and it's only now that can, due in large part to Cody stepping in as president, and also just from 6-7 years of just building up cash and saving it, right? Part of it also, I reinvested a ton of money back into Jakt over the years, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, back into Jakt over the years to help grow it. So then it was spitting off cash, and now I'm like, okay, now I have some money that I can throw into real estate. So it was important to build up a base, build up a lot of cash, and now I'm looking, hey, where can I put that cash, right? Still a lot is in Jakt every quarter, put more, leave some money that Jakt makes back in the business. But now there's some money to play with, right? And so part of that money, by the way, is going into Pulpo companies, right? So initially with Pulpo Finance, just to put in the bank account of that, I put 25K in there, right? And then, I'm looking at where else I'm putting the money, but I also recently invested in a film. That's a whole different, I'll talk about that another time. But real estate, that's where I'm really focusing. So, I'm looking to put some money to work, but I want to be smart about it. So what I've decided to do is spend a few hours each day on real estate. So it's actually blocked off in my calendar. If you look at it, a few hours a day learning real estate. And when I'm talking about learning, it's not, it's a mix of things, right? I'm listening to podcasts. I'm meeting people who have done this, right? The best way to learn, hell, this is why I'm even doing this podcast for other people, right? Talk to other people, learn from them, right? So I've been having calls with people who have invested in various types of real estate. I'm talking to brokers, right? You have to know commercial brokers who are going to help you with these deals, or different types of brokers. I'm going to start talking to, I have a list of people, accountants, lawyers, people who deal with 1031 exchanges, like all these different people. And I'm just now like, okay, and then I have some books that I'm reading. So a whole mix of things, right, that I'm doing. I'm viewing properties, like going out and actually looking at them, looking at deal sheets, right, looking at deals, doing the math behind them, getting a feel for deals that I like. What areas do I like, right? Like, I just moved to Miami. Do I want to invest in Miami, or do I want to go back and invest in the Northeast, right? Or maybe in California, because my family's there and I also know that area. Trying to figure out where I'm going to invest. Also trying to figure out, is my first one going to be by myself or with other people? I think it's going to be by myself, which means I can't buy as big of a place, which means maybe I'll have to actually manage it, which I'm not really too keen on because I want to be hands off. That's the whole point of this thing. So a lot of things I need to learn, but I'm not just going to like jump in next month and put money down on my own deal. I may put money into other people's deals so I can learn, right? Write a 25K check to someone so that I can learn from them, right? Yes, it's going to be good for also hopefully making me some money, but really that's kind of like the pay to play, right? That's the way I look at some of these things. When I'm writing someone a 25K check or someone else a 25K check to be a part of their deals, it's so that I can learn from them. It's having access. That's what I've learned too through a lot of this stuff. Just as I've gotten older, it's like a lot of these things you're paying for access, right? To get in those circles of where the deals are flowing. Because what happens is this really weird thing, but now I understand why wealth is concentrated at the top, is because people who are at a certain level play with people at a certain level, right? And it's not, as I've started to like meet more of these people, it's not because I was like, oh, I wonder if like they're like keeping other people out. It's like, no, it's just more like when you start to reach a certain level, you want to play with those people. So then naturally, it's not that you're trying to keep other people out, it's just those are the people that deals flow to and who you associate with and whatever it is. So it's like you have to like crack into these levels, right? And sometimes the way to crack into them is you pay to be part of a deal, and then all of a sudden now you start becoming a little player, right? Or but you have to like break into these levels either through, and I've started breaking in, with Jakt being, and my business is starting to do well. Now people start looking at me a little bit differently, right? Because like, okay, because and this is a really sensitive topic, I know, for a lot of people, so I want to be careful with it. But it's like someone who's I don't know, a multi-millionaire, right? Like they only have so much time, so who are they going to be talking to? They want to make sure that they're spending their time wisely. So, an easy way to filter out is just like looking at people and seeing like, okay, like what have they done in the past, all these sort of things. But so anyways, I'm trying to like break into some of these levels of people and meeting people but it does help, right? I have to say it does help with some of these people being like, hey, like, yes, I built a business, I have some cash to invest, and so they're like, all right, well, maybe you can get in on a deal with us, right? So like if I didn't have money to get in a deal, then I wouldn't be able to take that next step with them. So money does give you access. It's just like the way it kind of works. On some of these things, there's a lot of people who just want to help though, which is really nice as well. But I can see now, I'm starting to see, and this is a little tangent, I'm starting to see as I meet more people who are at this like higher, you know, have way more money than I do, much more wealthy, like I'm starting to see why money, it gets concentrated at the top, and it's not, at least from my take, like it's not because people want to keep everyone else out, that I've met at least. You know, maybe that's the case for some other people, but just from the people I've met, it's more just like, hey, you only have a certain amount of time, you want to play with people who are playing at a high level, so deals just like come to those people. But I have seen, if they see that you're growing and want to push and you're evolving, they want those people, they want to help bring those people up, right? But they don't want to spend time on people that are kind of just like, they're like, hey, like, help me become rich. Like someone asked me this the other day, can you help me become rich? Like, no, like you can only help yourself do that, right? But if they see you, hey, look at this guy's a high performer, he's growing, that's who you want to kind of be with, because you want to help that kind of person versus the person who's just like riding someone's coattails, right? So that's an important point, right, as well. I mean, that's who I really invest my time in too, right? Like, you don't have to have money, but if I see you're a grower and I see a lot of potential, then I'll invest my time in you. But I'm not going to just invest my time in anyone, right? So it's the same thing with them. So, anyways, I blocked off in my calendar, I think it's 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I'll be doing 14 hours a day, just on real estate studying. And I don't think that's enough. I think I need to be doing more. But that's where I'm starting, right? I'm actually segmenting off time now, and really taking this really seriously because, and I told Sasha this, I want to, by the end of the year, have made investments such that we're getting at least $2,000 a month in income after paying off any debt, mortgage that we've taken out, all of that, expenses, etc. $2,000 a month, which should, by depreciation, in theory, not get taxed. So it's basically $2,000, right, that we get each month, and that's what I'm hoping to create, and that will cover our apartment rent pretty much, right? Because we have the rent here is $3,600 a month. I can write off a good part of it. The business pays for home office and space like that, so that home office is part of it, and then we're turning another room into a home office, so I'll be able to write off a good amount of this apartment, and then if we get $2,000 from there, between the $2,000 a month plus the the business paying for this office and stuff, we'll be pretty close to living essentially rent free, right? Like that's like the first milestone. Let's live rent free. So I'm excited for that, and that's like the first milestone I'm trying to get to, and then from there we'll be okay. Now let's cover this and let's cover that. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. Real estate, little different topic for today, but yeah, I wanted to just put down my thoughts here so that in a year I could look back on it and be like, all right, I said I was going to do something. Let's see how it went, and also just to get some other people thinking perhaps about it. If you are interested in real estate or know something, reach out to me. I want to talk to anyone who's involved in real estate. If you're up for a chat, especially if you invest in multifamily, very interested. Or if you're at the point where you just want to exchange ideas or whatever it is, talk to me about real estate. And eventually what I want to do is start syndicating deals, right? Like I want to do a couple deals, prove myself, and then be like, hey, here's this deal. I need $1 million. I'll put in $250,000. I need to raise the other $750,000. So like getting checks from people for $100K or, 25, 50, $100K, something like that, I think will happen, but that's for later down the line. So anyways, I'm starting my real estate journey. This is going to be fun. Follow me on this journey to build up my passive income stream here, to cover my life, and I'm glad I'm finally, I'm 29 now. I really want to be financially free in the sense that all of my expenses completely are only paid for by real estate. That's my definition. within the next few years here. So that's what I'm on a journey to, and then business will really just only be a game. It's really a game to me right now, but I really want it to just be like, just play money, and I know that, my life is covered. So that's what I'm working towards, and it's gonna be fun. Let's see if it's gonna be when I get there, right? This is happening. That, like, I just believe it so much, like I am going to get to this point. It's more just like a matter of time. So yeah, that's it. So here we go. Let's do it. So thank you again for watching another episode. If you've made it all the way this far, I really appreciate it. Would love if you subscribed. If you're listening by audio, subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe as well. Also, please share this. If there's anyone you think would be interested in this, another entrepreneur that you know, someone interested in real estate, etc., please share with them. And that's a wrap. Thank you all again for joining, and I will see you all next time.